Happy Thursday. Today we're taking a look at Lesson 7, Conversation 3. And Lesson 7 and Conversation 3 take a look at a few different things. And we start by talking about verbs that can be followed by to verb or verb plus ing. And we learned that some of these words, you don't really know when to use one or the other. You just kind of have to learn which goes with which. But we started out with something that will probably help you not worry too much, where we have verb, and then you can put verb ing or to verb, and it doesn't change what it means. And whew, that makes it easy, right? But then we took a look at two different lessons and two sets of words that the meaning changes a little bit depending on if you use ing or to verb, right? And the way you can think of it is usually that if a verb is followed by verb ing, it's something that happened in the past or continued for some time. If it's verb and then to verb, it could show a responsibility, something that someone wanted to do or needed to do, or something that happened next, okay? And so we learned about some of these situations where you have to mix and match, like figure out, okay, this verb, and I want to put another action with it, but how do I figure out what to put? Well, you just kind of have to get a feel for it. And once you get more comfortable with that, ing is talking about something happening or someone doing something. You can make that connection in your head. It'll start to feel a little bit more natural, okay? And then you can think of like things with to verb. Maybe it could mean you need to do something, or it's the right thing to do. So if you start making these connections, it'll be a bit easier. And so in this section, Lesson 7, Dialogue 3, we have our kind of flat personality. This person doesn't really have any strong emotions, but this time they actually do, because they don't want any changes. They want things to just stay the same. I'm used to things just being the way it is. I don't want things to get messed up. And so when you get broken up with, you get dumped, you kind of start trying to figure out, how do I get things back to normal? I'm not going to be positive. I'm not going to look for a new opportunity in life. I'm not going to be negative and say, I hate that person. I just want things to go back to normal, right? Oh, please don't change anything. So we deal with the stages of grief, number 3 and 4, right? There are 5 stages of grief that happen when you get your heart broken or something bad happens, right? And the first one we talked about was being in denial. It's like, oh, that didn't happen to me. Everything will be okay. But then eventually that doesn't work, right? We have to deal with problems. If something bad happens in life, you can't just say, oh, it didn't happen. You got to deal with it. But maybe your first reaction might be the second stage, which is anger. Ugh, why did this happen to me? The world is not fair. Blah, 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 blah. And then in this lesson, we look at the third stage and the fourth stage. The third stage is called bargaining. Bargaining is where you try to fix the bad thing that happened. Something bad happens to you, and you try to fix it by bargaining. Maybe, oh, if I do this, then the bad thing will go away. So in our dialogue, we have, oh, if I change myself, my date will come back to me. Will that really work? If you get dumped, it's better to just move on, right? You don't want to chase that person because they chose to dump you. You can find somebody that really likes you, right? And so bargaining is where you're trying to like make a deal with the world. Bargaining is when you like talk about money often, but here bargaining is you're trying to make a deal with the world or fate or life and say, okay, if I do this, then can you fix things? But that doesn't really work. And after you realize it doesn't work, what happens next? Well, the fourth stage, probably the hardest stage, which is depression, where, oh, so sad. The bad thing happened to you, and now you just feel bad. You know you can't fix it. You're done being angry, and now you're just, oh gosh, it's terrible, right? But things will get better. In this lesson, we look at steps 3 and 4, bargaining and depression. So our story kind of ends in a not very happy place where, oh, they don't want me anymore and I don't know what to do. And your friend takes a look in the refrigerator and goes, oh gosh, you're holding on to the leftovers from that date. And you say, oh yeah, that's the only thing I have to remember them by. But you've been keeping it for 3 weeks. Oh God, you don't want to keep food for 3 weeks. It's gross. It's going to go bad. Definitely don't eat it. You'll hurt yourself, right? Oh, my tummy. So yeah, this story ends with you feeling pretty unhappy about stuff. Oh, you go through bargaining and then you go through feeling kind of depressed. Ah, that's too bad. But next week, we'll get into the final stage of grief and everything will be okay. What is the final stage? Well, the final stage, the fifth stage, is acceptance. This is where you realize you can't change anything. Being angry doesn't work. Being sad doesn't help. Well, it's better just to move on with your life. And so maybe you got broken up with, maybe you got dumped, but it's going to be okay. You can find somebody new. So next week, we'll see the fifth stage, acceptance, where you accept what happened to you. But this time, we're continuing with our third personality, the bargaining and depression. Oh, my life is so sad, but it'll be okay. So we have our first lesson, which is lesson 7, conversation 3, part 2. And this one is probably the easiest one of the bunch. Hopefully you thought so, because these are verbs where you have verb followed by another verb. So we have 2 actions, 2 things we want to do that go together. And you can use verb ing or to verb. Both okay. And it doesn't change the meaning. So if your answer is a little bit different than mine, don't worry about it because both are okay, right? To verb, verb ing, it doesn't change what it means. And, okay. And so some of these are feelings about your feelings of something, your opinion. Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you hate something? Do you prefer something? So these are all feelings, your opinions. And then words that fit into here are ones about starting something. So begin, start, or continue. Something about timing. And then if you don't want anything to happen, I can't stand it or I can't bear it. These are ones where you can use to verb or verb ing. So let's get started. Our first sentence is 比起剪辑，我更喜欢摄影. Okay, so this one was actually a little bit tricky just because of the word choice. So in English, I would write this as, I prefer filming over editing. Okay, now filming means making a movie. Okay, now I'll talk about why later. And so before, a couple lessons ago, we learned that prefer can be written another way. So you could say, I like shooting video better than editing. Shooting video and filming is the same thing. Okay? And then a little bit closer to the Chinese, you could write something like this. Compared to editing, I like filming better. And that's okay. In English, it's natural to say it. It's a little bit more complicated, but you can do that, and that's okay. And that's a little bit more similar to the Chinese way of writing it, okay? So there are a few different ways to write this. Like we've said before, you can use the word prefer to show you like something better than the other. Prefer and like better are the same thing. I prefer filming over editing. You could also use to. I prefer filming to editing. Okay? And then for like better, you can say I like something better than something. Both are okay. Okay? And like we said before, because you could use ing or to verb, you could write it two ways. I prefer filming over editing. I prefer to film over to edit. Okay? Or I like to shoot video better than to edit video. Okay? And then the third one, compared to editing. Now, usually, I saw a couple people write similar sentences. I saw in comparing blah, blah, and I saw comparing to blah, blah, blah. But usually if we write a sentence like this, we would use compared to with an ed, compared to editing. The D and the T kind of stick together. Compared to editing, I like filming better. Okay? And usually we'll use ed on compared because you're comparing the second sentence to editing, okay? Or the second clause to editing, or whatever. But usually it's with ed, okay? Now, why did I choose the word filming? Most students chose the word photographing. And photographing is not really a common word. In photograph, well, a photograph is a noun. A photograph means one picture, right? And so we take pictures, we take photos. Using the word photographing, you can use it, but it's not that common. Usually we'd say taking photos. So I prefer taking photos over editing. That would be okay, but it changes the meaning. I use the word filming because I was imagining filming a video or filming a movie or something like that, okay? Now, why would I consider it filming a video or a movie? Well, we have to look at the context. In the sentence, it says, 比起剪辑, 剪辑 is video editing, right? You cut video. And so if the editing word is about video, the filming, the photography word should be about video. Photographing or taking photos is about taking one picture. But filming or shooting video is about recording video. Maybe you want to make a video for YouTube or something, okay? So we don't use the word photographing when making video. We use that just for a picture, okay? And so when you're doing this kind of homework, you want to look at the whole sentence together, the whole thing in context. One part is talking about video editing, and then in Chinese, the word 摄影 can mean film or pictures, but the first one was about video, so this one's probably about video too, right? Okay? So you got to look at the whole thing together and try to figure out the context. Okay, video and pictures, why are those together? Well, it's probably video and video, right? Okay, so I prefer filming over editing. And you could say, I prefer filming over editing video, okay? And filming is one verb. You could also say shooting video, okay? So I mentioned photographing as a verb is not very common. We would say taking photos. But you could use the word photography. If you put a Y at the end, photography, that is a noun that talks about the activity of taking photos. I'll put it in the chat, photography. And the stress is on the TO, photography. I like photography, okay? So if your sentence is about editing pictures and taking pictures, you could use the word photography. So I prefer photography over editing pictures, okay? Okay, now, the second sentence is 当我准备睡觉前，猫咪开始跑起来. So when I was almost ready to go to bed, my cat started running around. Meow. Ooh. Maybe you can be the queen of the cats or king of the cats if your cat jumps on you. Okay? So when I was almost ready to go to bed, my cat started running around. Running around and around and around. So running around is a phrase that means running all over the place. Running here, running there, running here, running there, running around. Okay? It doesn't mean a circle. It just means all over the place. Okay? So first thing I said, when I was almost ready to go to bed. So we use the word when to mark a certain time, right? So when I was almost ready to go to bed. Okay? And I use almost ready because you're close to going to bed. So the Chinese and the English are a little bit different here, because some of you wrote when I was ready to go to sleep. Okay? We don't really use ready and sleep together. Usually we would say get ready to go to bed. Maybe you put on your pajamas, you brush your teeth, you take out your contact lenses. That's getting ready to go to bed. And then you go to bed, meaning you lay down, and then you fall asleep. But getting ready is you're getting ready to go to bed, like get in bed. But we're not thinking of getting ready to sleep, okay? So often ready and bed go together, okay? So when I was almost ready to go to bed, meaning I was really close to getting in bed, and I was ready to go. And then so a few of you wrote when I got ready for bed, or when I got ready to sleep. That would mean when you were doing things to get ready. Maybe you're brushing your teeth at that time, not right before you get in bed, okay? So you could say, when I was almost ready to go to bed, when I was almost ready for bed, okay? And then you could change the words around depending on the way you're imagining this situation. I'm imagining that I'm all ready and I'm about to get in my bed, and then the cat starts running around. If you change the way you're thinking about it, maybe you're already in bed, and you could say, when I was falling asleep. So falling asleep is like you're going from awake. Ugh. So we don't use ready with falling asleep. So when I was ready to fall asleep, you don't need the word ready. So you could say when I was falling asleep. Okay? So if you want to use ready, it would best be to go with to go to bed. And then the second part, my cat started running around. So you could say something else, or depending on what the cat's doing, but running around suggests that the cat is running in many different directions and just being crazy. So running around. And mention started can be followed by to verb or verb ing. So you could say my cat started to run around, or my cat started running around. And it's the same thing, okay? Now, let's keep on moving. 虽然不容易，但你还是要继续一周健身3天。I'm so tired. So, though it's not easy, you should continue to work out 3 days a week. Okay? Though it's not easy, you should continue to work out 3 days a week. Okay. So I chose to use the word though. In spoken English, we often use the word though. You could also use although. Although it's not easy. And that's totally fine. Although is a bit more common in writing, and though is more common in speaking. Okay? So, though it's not easy, you should continue to work out 3 days a week. Okay? And so, you're talking about the experience is not fun, or it's not it's not easy, it's hard, it's difficult. So you could say, though it's not easy. You could also say, though it's hard, or though it's difficult. And we use the word though to show this is true, but something else is true also. So though it's not easy, then we have this, which is more important. You should continue to work out 3 days a week, okay? And so after the word continue, you can use to verb or verb ing, and it's okay. You should continue to work out, or you should continue working out, okay? And so I use the word should. You could also say you need to, or you still need to. You still need to continue to work out 3 days a week. But still need to continue, it's getting wordy, so you can shorten it and just use the word should, and it's the same meaning, okay? Okay, I have a question. Can I say when I was going to bed? When I was going to bed, my cat started running around. Yeah, that's another way to think about it. Like you're walking to your bed, you're ready to go to bed, and you are going to bed. It just changes the timing a little bit. So this sentence about going to bed, there are many ways to write it, and just small changes will change the timing of when it happened. Are you ready to go to bed? And then yours is when I was going to bed, meaning you're walking to your bed and getting in. So it just changes the timing a little bit. By saying when I was going to bed, it's continuous, so you were doing that. You were already started to walk to your bed, okay? Okay, hopefully that makes sense. But that sentence can be written many different ways. When I was almost ready to go to bed, when I was going to bed, when I was laying in my bed, when I was falling asleep, just changes the timing a little bit. Okay, so back to our third sentence. Though it's not easy, you should continue to work out 3 days a week. And then one thing is the verb here is continue to work out. Now, work out is called a phrasal verb. It means it's 2 words that act together. Work out. Work out, 2 words, and that means to exercise, right? Now, I saw a couple people put it together, workout, 1 word. Now, if you put it together, that becomes a noun. Workout as 1 word is a noun, meaning when you spend time at the gym. It's like, or maybe a schedule for how to exercise. That's called a workout. So my brother-in-law is a coach. And so I could say, oh, my brother-in-law planned a workout for me. Like he figured out a schedule for how I should exercise. So workout as 1 word is actually a noun, okay? So it means like you go exercise or a plan, okay? Next up is 我根本懒得跟他解释，我无法忍受跟不讲理的人说话. So I would say this as, I didn't bother explaining things to him. I can't stand talking to unreasonable people. So I didn't bother explaining things to him. I can't stand talking to unreasonable people. Okay, so this is talking about someone who's very difficult to talk to, who won't listen to you, and they are pretty stubborn, okay? So I didn't bother explaining things to him. So I didn't bother explaining. This is a phrase meaning I didn't even try. So like, I really don't want to try. It's too much work. I didn't bother. So I didn't bother is followed by verb ing. So I didn't bother explaining things to him, okay? So didn't bother just means you don't care that much and you're not going to try. So in Chinese, you would use the phrase, I'm lazy to do something. But in English, we don't really use lazy in that way. We don't say, I am lazy to exercise. It's just not a common phrase. It's not something people say. Now, I use past tense, didn't. A few people use don't. I don't bother explaining things to him. Now, what's the difference? So if I use did, I said I didn't bother explaining things. I'm talking about one time. Maybe I'm thinking about yesterday, my coworker was being a pain in the butt, and I don't want to talk to him. Like, it's not worth my time. I didn't bother explaining things to him that one time. If you use don't, you're talking about a habit. It happens again and again. I don't bother explaining things to him, meaning I never do. He's always like this, okay? So both are okay. It just depends on what you're trying to describe. Are you talking about yesterday, one particular thing that happened, or all the time, okay? And then another way to say this is, I really don't want to explain things to him. And that would be okay too. Yeah, I really don't want to explain things to him. That's talking about the future, actually. Like, I don't want to tell him, like, whenever, okay? You could also say, I don't feel like explaining things to him. It just slightly changes the feeling of it. I don't feel like it means you don't want to. I didn't bother means I don't care. I'm not going to waste my time. Okay? If you say I'm lazy to, that's not a very common thing. I did see someone write, I'm too lazy to explain things to him. Now, the grammar here is okay, but the meaning is different. If you say, I'm too lazy to explain things to him, that sounds like I should explain something, but there's something wrong with me. I'm the problem because I'm too lazy. So I'm too lazy to explain things to him means I have the problem. But actually, he's the problem, right? He's a difficult person. So I didn't bother means that I don't want to. It's not my business. If you say, I'm too lazy to do it, it sounds like you should do it, but I want to just watch TV instead. I'm too lazy to do that, okay? And then the second part is I can't stand talking to unreasonable people. So I can't stand means something that really bothers you. You really don't like it. I can't do it. I can't stand talking to unreasonable people. And you, after can't stand, you can use talking with the ing, okay? Or the to verb is also okay. And then I used present tense, can't, because we're talking about now or in general, right? I can't stand talking to unreasonable people all the time. I saw a few people use, I think I saw someone use couldn't. I couldn't stand talking to blah, blah, blah. That would be talking about the past tense, like one time. So it's better to use can't here because it's in general, okay? And then you could also say, I can't bear to. But in American English, can't stand is a little bit more common. Both are okay, though. I did see someone say, I can't afford to speak to unreasonable people. Now, it's pretty common for students to use afford in this way. Afford is usually talking about money or something you can't, that's not okay to do. I can't afford to, maybe, or it could be about money or losing an opportunity or something like that. But here we're not losing an opportunity. We're saying we don't like it. So can't afford to is a little bit different. So here we want to use can't stand or can't bear. And then the last part, I use unreasonable people. Unreasonable means you cannot reason with them. To reason with someone is to like negotiate, to bargain, to discuss things with someone. But if someone's unreasonable, that means they won't work with you. They won't have a discussion. Maybe they're too stubborn, they're too bossy or something. Okay? Okay, I have a question. Do I need to add the word things after explain? I didn't bother explaining things to him. If our first sentence is this, I didn't bother explaining things to him, it's good to have the word things. Because I'm introducing a topic. Like, even though I'm just saying things, it's using a noun, or like I'm giving you something that you know I'm explaining. If I just say, I didn't bother explaining to him, the person listening might say, explaining what? Explaining usually goes with a noun, okay? You don't have to have the word things there if the person you're talking to already knows what you're discussing. Maybe they say, oh, did you tell him about the meeting tomorrow and blah, 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 blah? And you say, oh, I didn't bother explaining to him. That would be okay. You don't need the word things if the person you're talking to knows what the thing is, okay? So it depends on what the situation is. Usually explaining goes with something you're explaining, but if they know what you're talking about, you don't need the word things, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. And next up, let's move on to Lesson 7, Conversation 3, Part 3. And now we get into situations where we have a verb followed by to verb or verb ing, and the meaning will change a little bit, right? And that's okay. It can be a little bit tricky, but if it's ing, it's usually something that continued or it happened in the past, something that was happening or you were doing. And then if it's a verb followed by to verb, usually it's something you need to do or it's good to do. So you can think of it that way, okay? So the first sentence is 妈妈早上忘记叫我起床. So this is something that your mom needed to do or you wanted her to do. So in English, I would say, my mom forgot to wake me up this morning. My mom forgot to wake me up this morning. So here, forgot to, the T's kind of mixed together. My mom forgot to wake me up this morning. Can you hear that? Forgot to. There's only really one T sound. My mom forgot to wake me up this morning. Okay? Now, like we said before, it's something she needed to do, or you want her to do. And so forgot to do something means she was supposed to, but she didn't, right? Sorry. Oops. Moms make mistakes sometimes. You should have probably set an alarm, right? Especially on an important day like today. So mom forgot to wake me up this morning. I think most people, not many problems with this. If you wrote, my mom forgot waking me up this morning, that means she doesn't remember that she did do it. So that changes the meaning a lot. If you say, my mom forgot waking me up this morning, that means you talk to your mom at dinner time and you say, hey mom, why did you wake me up so early? You woke me up at 6 in the morning. And then your mom says, huh? I woke you up. I don't remember that. So you could say, my mom forgot waking me up this morning. So she forgets that she did it, okay? So if it's ing, it means that someone forgets that they did something or they forget that it happened. So forget doesn't often go with verb ing, okay? It usually goes, well, we talked about it in our lesson. It usually goes with I will never forget verb ing. If you're talking about yourself, right? Okay. So it should be, my mom forgot to wake me up this morning because it's what you wanted her to do, her duty, right? And next up is 我忘不了上次期末考背单。我不想要再发生. Yeah. I'll never forget failing my last final exam. I don't want it to happen again. Yeah. So here we have forget verb ing. I'll never forget failing my last final exam. Okay? I don't want it to happen again. Now, you could also write it a different way in a little more like you're pushing yourself. You could say, I won't let it happen again. So I'm going to work hard and I won't let it happen again. I'm going to try my best and set an alarm next time. Okay? So I'll never forget failing, meaning you can remember it and you will never ever forget that. It's so shocking that is stuck in your mind. Okay? So like I said before, forget followed by verb ing is usually negative because we usually, well, we can't really talk about something we forget often. You can do it sometimes, but it depends on the situation. Let's say I email you a message, and then tomorrow you talk to me and say, "Hey Kyle, that email you sent me, blah 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 blah," and I go, "Huh? I sent you an email? I forget sending you an email." So that would mean I forget that action. I forget that I did it. It was happening. Okay? So here, I'll never forget failing. Usually we put forget verb ing with a negative. Okay? I'll never forget failing my last final exam. Now, you could also say, I can't forget failing, meaning, oh, it's stuck in my head. And you could also, instead of using the word failing, you could use other words. You could use flunking. I'll never forget flunking my final exam, or being flunked on my final exam. That would be okay too. Flunked means someone gave you a bad grade, usually, okay? But fail is more common. I think flunk is a little more, less common than fail. Let's put it that way. And so, let's see. My last final exam. So last doesn't mean 最後. Last means the one before, right? The last one meaning the one before. So you could say my last final exam, okay? And I saw a couple of people write last time's final exam. And that's too close to the Chinese. We don't do last time final exam. You can just use last as an adjective. My last exam, or my last final exam. Okay? The last describes the test. Okay? But you could put last time at the end, right? Last time can't describe exam, but you can use last time to describe the action. So I'll never forget failing my test last time. That would be describing the action, okay? So if you put the time at the end, that's okay. But don't say last time's final exam, okay? I also saw my previous final exam. That's okay too. Previous is a little bit more formal than the word last. So in spoken English, we'd probably just use my last exam instead of my previous exam. Previous is more formal. Okay? And then, so failing my exam. I also saw failing last semester. Semester means the period of time. So usually a school year is either 2 or 3 semesters. And in high school, sometimes it's 4 semesters. And so a semester, you could fail the semester, but that's a bigger thing than failing an exam, right? If you fail your final exam, there's still a chance you might pass for the semester, right? Maybe you get a 49 on your final exam, but all of your other exams were 100s, so you still passed the semester. So the semester is the whole thing, the period of time, while the exam means one big test, okay? And then the second part, I don't want it to happen again. So I don't want, meaning it's not good. I don't want something. I don't want it, meaning in the it means the situation. I don't want this situation. I don't want it to do what? I don't want it to happen again, okay? So we need it to be in that order. I saw people flip it around and say like, I don't want to happen it, but you don't want it to happen because, okay, the it is that situation. And so, yeah, we need the word to, and we don't want it to happen, okay? And then I added, I won't let it happen again. This is like you're pushing yourself. I won't let it happen again. You're making a prediction about the future. You're going to try better. Okay? The next one is 我后悔昨晚熬夜看 YouTube. Yeah, so a lot of students will do this. And then in the morning, you wake up late and you say, I regret staying up late watching YouTube last night. Oops. So I regret staying up late watching YouTube last night. Now, I use the word regret in the present tense. Many of you used past tense. I regretted staying up late. But did you regret it before? No, you regret it right now. And it's true right now. So the action, what you did was last night, but your feeling, your regret is right now. So I regret staying up. Okay? So right now, this is the truth. This is my feeling now. So we can use the present simple tense, I regret, to describe how you feel right now. I regret staying up late. Okay? And regret is usually followed by verb ing. So staying up. Okay? I regret staying up late watching YouTube last night. And watching is ing because it was a continuous thing. Okay? Something you were doing. Okay? And then you could also say to watch. I regret staying up late to watch YouTube last night. And that would be okay too. But if you use ing, it's focusing on that you continue doing it. Okay? And now I use the word YouTube by itself. You could say YouTube videos. I regret staying up late watching YouTube last night. So pretty good on that one. The biggest thing was regret with ed. We talk about regret in the present tense usually because I regret something, meaning you feel bad now. Okay? I have a question, or I have two questions. Can I add the word in after failing? I'll never forget failing in my last final exam. We wouldn't use in. You don't fail in something. Well, not for a test at least. You don't fail in a test. You fail in a class. You could say, I failed in that class. That would be okay. But for an exam, you don't need a preposition. You could say, fail my exam. And that's okay. You could also use on for a test. I failed on my test. Or I'll never forget failing on my last exam. That would be okay. So we fail on something like a test because we're working on it and, oh, I failed on my test. And then you fail in a class because you are in the class. Okay? So you work on an exam, so I failed on my exam. Or I got a good grade on my exam. They write it on the paper. Okay? But you fail in a class because you're inside the class. Hopefully that helps. Okay. And then I have another question. Could I say, I don't want to happen it again? That's what I was trying to explain. You cannot say it this way. You should say, I don't want it to happen. Usually we'd say we want something. And then that something will do something. Okay? I don't want this situation to happen. Okay? And so the situation, failing the exam, becomes it. I don't want it to happen. So I don't want this thing. And then this thing does something, meaning to happen. So I don't want it to happen. So the it has to be after the word want. I don't want it to happen. Okay? So you can't put it at the end. Okay? Because right, the words to happen are describing it. Hopefully that makes sense. It's kind of tricky. Let's see. I have a question. Doesn't the present tense mean it happens again and again? Well, the present tense has two ways to use it. It could mean something happens again and again, like I brush my teeth every night. That happens again and again. but you can also use the present tense to describe something that's a truth. You can use it to describe something that is generally true. So you could say, birds fly. And that is just generally true, right? And we can use that idea of being generally true to point towards our feelings. So we often use our feelings in the present tense because it's just the truth. It's what's going on. Like, I feel happy. Feel is present simple tense. It's not happening again and again, right? If I say, I feel happy, I'm telling you the truth about what's happening right now, okay? So you can think of present simple as being about truths sometimes, okay? So that's where it gets tricky, because if we're talking about right now, we often use the present continuous, right? I am sitting in a chair. That's happening right now. But for feelings, like feel or regret or like or want, you can think of those as being like a truth. I want to say hello. I like eating pizza. It's generally true. I feel good. I regret watching TV. Okay? So if it's a feeling, you could say it's a truth about right now. Hopefully that helps. So present simple can be used in two ways, about things that happen again and again, or something that's just true. Okay? And so that's why we see present simple when people are like teaching us about things. Like the wind blows, the sun rises. It's something that's always true. Okay? Next up, 算了，我决定停止烦恼考试的事情，回去睡大头觉。唉 forget it. I'm going to stop worrying about my tests and go back to sleep. I'm done with this. It's over. There's no use worrying. Why am I regretting? I'm just going to get some more sleep. So, first up, I say, forget it. So, forget it means like, oh, whatever. I don't care about that. So, you could say other things that are similar to forget it. Forget it means like, whatever. So, you could also say, never mind that, or never mind, whatever. Or if you want to use something that's a little bit more rude, you could say, screw it. So screw it means I don't care. Or you could use the F word and say, oh, F it, beep it, meaning like I don't care about that situation, okay? So remember, using bad words like the F word aren't always yelling at people. Like here, you could use F it to mean like, oh, I don't care about that situation, or just forget it, okay? And I'm going to stop worrying about my tests and go back to sleep. Now, many of you use the word decided or decide. I decide to stop worrying about blah, blah, blah. But I'm imagining this person is sitting there talking about the present moment. Like right now, they're thinking this. So I'm going to stop worrying about my tests. So if we're talking about we are thinking about it now and I decide to do something soon, we often don't use the word decide. So I would not say, I decide to stop worrying about my tests and go to sleep. You can use the I'm going to, the future, to show what you're going to do, to show your plan. So I changed this to, instead of using decide, I said, I'm going to stop worrying. So that means I have decided, and this is my plan, this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to stop worrying about my test. So we wouldn't use decide if you're talking about right now. Like right now, I'm going to do it, okay? If we're talking about the past, maybe I'm telling you a story now about what happened yesterday and say, oh, I decided to blah, blah, blah. That would be okay if you use ed. I decided to, okay? And then I saw someone try to use the phrase went on or to go on, but remember that went on or go on means to continue doing something. So it doesn't really work here, okay? And then I'm going to stop worrying about my tests. We're talking about the action, what was happening. Stop worrying using ing. So worrying means, oh, it bothers you. You could also write, I'm going to stop thinking about my tests. So thinking is more general. Worrying has more negative feelings in there, okay? And then you could say, worrying about my tests, or about the test, or about the tests, or my exams. Up to you, okay? And go back to sleep. Meaning, you wake up, oh no, everything's bad. Wait, whatever, I'm just going to sleep. And maybe you take that big 0 on your test. So just give up. F it. Forget it. Who cares? Okay? So hopefully you weren't this kind of student before, and hopefully you're not this kind of student right now. Okay? Okay, let's keep on moving. Next up is Lesson 7, Conversation 3, Part 4. Our first sentence is, 我们的家需要重新装潢. And so this is a little bit tricky again. I think I say that a lot. And I wrote it as, our house needs renovating. You could also say, our house needs redecorating. Okay? Now, in terms of the grammar, everyone did a great job. So something needs something to happen to it. So we use ing. This is like, our house needs renovating. So I'm hoping that the renovating is going to happen, okay? Now, our house needs renovating, our house needs redecorating. Most of the answers were one of these two. Now, what's the difference, and why would we use one or the other? Now, renovating and redecorating are both words that mean 新装潢 in Chinese. Renovating is where you like do actual work. Maybe you take down walls, or you rip things out and you fix things a lot. Maybe you change the floor. Maybe you break walls and build new walls. Renovating is a lot of work. So renovating means fixing the inside of a house, but doing a lot of work. And then redecorating means you change the stuff inside. Maybe you paint the house, you change the furniture, stuff like that. So both of them are okay for this sentence. It just depends what you're thinking. Is it a big change? Use renovating. Is it a small change, or like medium change where you change the paint and the chairs and tables? Then redecorating. So renovating, a big change on the inside. Redecorating, a little less big on the inside. Okay? Next, I also saw someone say, our house needs decorating anew. You can write this. The grammar is okay, but using the word anew is pretty formal and a little bit old-fashioned. People don't often use a phrase like redecorating anew. So you could say just redecorating. Re meaning again, and then decorating means changing the painting and like the furniture and stuff. Okay? Next, 我试着要控制预算，这样才不会破产. Okay, good luck. You don't want to do that. So, I have two translations. One is the easy version, or like the regular version. And then the second one is a little bit more like colloquial English, maybe 口语化. So the first is, I'm trying to control the budget so I won't go bankrupt. I'm trying to control the budget so I won't go bankrupt. Okay? Now, you could also say it this way. Just change some of the words. I'm trying to keep the budget in check so I won't go broke. Okay? Both mean the same thing, just different ways to say the same thing. I thought you guys might like that. I'm trying to keep the budget in check so I won't go broke. Okay? So let's go over the first way first. I'm trying to control. So I am trying to, we're using present continuous because you're doing it now and it takes some time and effort. I'm still working on it, okay? I'm trying to control the budget. And the word trying is often followed by to verb. I'm trying to control it, meaning this is what I'm attempting to do. It's what I want to do, okay? And so I use present continuous, meaning I'm still trying. Like I'm doing the work and maybe in the future it might not work. A few people use past tense. That would mean that it's over, it's finished. I tried to, okay? But usually we use continuous because you're still working on it. And then I'm trying to control the budget. So the budget means how much money you're spending on something or how much money you are using for this project. So you want to control that, okay? And control the budget is totally fine. Another way to say this is keep the budget in check. So this is a phrase when you have a budget, you don't want your budget to get too big. So you want to keep it in check. In check means like, well, basically control something. So to keep something in check means you keep it under control. And so that's just another way to say we're talking about, well, many different things, but it's common to use with the budget, trying to keep the budget in check, okay? And then our connection between the two ideas, you can use the word so. One thing, in order to whatever. So I'm trying to control the budget so I won't go bankrupt. It's like, I want to do this, so this will be true, okay? You could also use the phrase this way. I'm trying to control the budget. This way, I won't go bankrupt. That's okay, but we can use the word so to connect it. And then I won't go bankrupt. Bankrupt means you have no money. And usually the phrase is go bankrupt. This is the phrase that we should use. I won't go bankrupt. A few people wrote, I won't bankrupt. But bankrupt by itself is an adjective. So we want the action go bankrupt. Usually these two go together. I also saw someone write, I won't go bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is a noun and it's less common. We don't say go bankruptcy, we say go bankrupt, okay? Meaning like become bankrupt, okay? And then I did see someone say avoid bankrupt. Here you want to use the word bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is a noun, it's an idea. You want to get away from that thing. So you want to avoid bankruptcy. So you could say that would be okay. But just, it's more common to just use go bankrupt. I won't go bankrupt, okay? And then another phrase you could use is go broke. Go broke and go bankrupt are both totally fine. Go broke is maybe more, well, less formal. So I won't go broke is less formal. Okay, I have a question. So when I use I try to, it would have a different meaning in there. So I try to control the budget. You can use that here. I try to control the budget because it's a truth. But in this situation, we're talking about what you're doing. So I am doing something right now, and I'm working on this project. So here, it's better to use present continuous tense because I'm working on this, and I'm going to continue working on this. So both are okay, but continuous is better because it suggests you're continuing to try. I'm trying to control the budget, meaning like it's not finished, okay? Does that make any sense? So anytime you use I am trying, this am verb ing, it means you're continuing to do something and you're still working on it, okay? So it's a little bit better in this situation. And then next up, is Bob 会来帮我组装新家具. Okay? And this one, no big issues. People thought this was not so hard. Bob will help me put together my new furniture. So that's one way to say it. That's how I would probably say it. I use the verb put together. Bob will help me put together my new furniture. Put together, those two T's stick together. Bob will help me put together my new furniture. You could also use the word assemble. Assemble is a formal way to say put together. Day-to-day life, people would just use the word put together. But you could say, Bob will help me assemble my new furniture. And that's fine, but it sounds a bit more formal. Okay? So, the word help is a special one where we don't need the word to. So you could say, Bob will help me to put together, or Bob will help me to assemble my new furniture. But you don't need the word to. And if you don't need it, then people will usually not use it because, well, when speaking languages, a lot of times we will drop things that are not important to save time. If help me to put together and help me put together, if they mean the same thing, say the one that's shorter and faster. Okay? So Bob will help me put together my new furniture. Put together, assemble. Well, assemble is a little bit shorter, but because put together are more common words, we use that more often. Okay? Oh, you could also use the word build. You could say, Bob will help me build my new furniture. That's okay too. So I don't think any big issues with this. One more little thing. It's my new furniture. I did see a couple people put the letter S, my new furnitures. But the word furniture, you don't need an S because furniture is uncountable. It's like a group, all of the stuff. Tables and chairs, all of that together is furniture. So you don't put an S. You have pieces of furniture. Pieces of furniture. Furniture doesn't get an S. Okay? Let's see. 当 Bob 答应帮我的时候，我忍不住感动落泪. Oh, I can't believe it, Bob. You're so nice to me. So I say, when Bob agreed to help, I couldn't help crying tears of joy. Oh, tears of joy. Joy meaning happiness. So tears of joy mean tears of being so happy. Okay? You could also say, if you wanted it closer to the Chinese, you could say, I couldn't help feeling moved in crying. Okay? So, when Bob agreed to help me. So, this was kind of a tricky part because this was, you had to remember from a couple lessons ago. A couple parts ago. Lesson 7, conversation 1, we saw the word agreed, and agreed goes with to verb. Agreed to help. So I saw a couple of people say Bob agreed helping me, but agreed is usually followed by to verb. So Bob agreed to help me. So you could also use the word promised. A few people use promised. Promised is stronger than agreed. Bob promised to help me. So both are similar in meaning, but promised is much stronger. Okay? So Bob agreed to help me. So agreed to verb, promised to verb. Okay? And then the second part, I couldn't help crying tears of joy. So Bob already agreed. So it should be in the past tense, right? And so when you heard it was also in the past tense. When Bob agreed to help me, I couldn't help crying tears of joy. And so couldn't should be in past tense. I couldn't help. Okay? Because it was back then when Bob told you. Okay? So I couldn't help. I saw a few people use I can't help, but I can't help means right now. And If you use when he did it, that's not right now. Okay? And then I couldn't help doing what? I said crying tears of joy. I'm so happy and moved by what he said, I cry tears of joy. So in English, we don't often use the word moved as much as in Chinese. So I just left it out, and you could use other words to express why you were crying. So crying tears of joy. I also saw someone say, I was in tears, which would be okay. I was in tears. Oh, but you want to be specific about why you're in tears, like that you're happy. Okay? And so, but if you want to explain, you could add like the word because or something. I cried because he's so nice. Okay? I did see the phrase, I couldn't help tearing with gratefulness. Usually, if we use tear as a verb, you'd say tearing up, meaning you get tears in your eyes. I couldn't help tearing up. But saying with gratefulness, the grammar is okay, but it's not a common phrase. It's a little bit too complicated. So I couldn't help tearing up would be okay. Okay? And then I couldn't help crying. I couldn't help crying emotionally is what I also saw. But saying crying emotionally sounds like not that you feel moved and then you cry, but it sounds like you're describing the crying. The crying is like, whoa, very emotional. So if you say crying emotionally, the word emotionally is describing how you were crying. Okay. And then if you want to stick closer to the Chinese, you could say, I couldn't help feeling moved and crying. You could say feeling touched or feeling moved. But if we're talking about like, wow, feelings, I think feeling moved is a little bit more common than feeling touched. Okay? Or I don't think so. I looked it up. Feeling moved is a little more common than feeling touched. Okay? And then last but not least is we have lesson 7, conversation 3, part 5. Right? And this is where we get to our dialogue with our friend. And, oh, everything's terrible. I can change myself. And your friend says, no, don't do that. Just do online dating. And you say, oh, I can't do online dating. Have you tried any of the online dating sites that I mentioned? I don't know how popular they are in Taiwan. Some people use them here, but in America, those websites are super popular now. Maybe 10 or 20 years ago, people thought, oh, online dating is kind of weird. But now it's totally normal and lots of people try it. So if you're looking for that special someone, maybe you can try Tinder or OkCupid or Bumble. Match.com costs money, so maybe skip that one. But if you're looking for someone, the person who's right for you, and they say, no, sorry, don't get too hurt. You don't want to bargain. Oh, I'll change myself. And you don't want to get depressed, right? You don't want to be too sad. So let's take a look at our sentences and keep on moving. Okay. 艾米丽和卢卡斯昨天刚交往，卢卡斯要她把脸书状态变成交往中。So this is a long one. We can think of it as two of your homework questions, right? So I wrote it this way. Emily and Lucas became boyfriend and girlfriend yesterday. Lucas asked her to change her Facebook status to in a relationship. Okay? I might also write, Emily and Lucas became official yesterday. Lucas wants her to change her relationship status on Facebook to in a relationship. Whew. So that one's a little bit longer, a little bit more complicated. So this sentence suggests that they have been seeing each other. They've gone on some dates together. And so they have been dating. They already went on a few dates, but then they decided to really become boyfriend and girlfriend. So in Chinese, you say 交往 or 刚交往. But in English, we can't really say started dating, because if they started dating, then it's not really, they're not really connected. Maybe they could just like say, oh, forget it, move on. So 刚交往 suggests that it becomes something real. Maybe they went on a couple dates and then they make it official, okay? So this is why I use the phrases like this. They became boyfriend and girlfriend. So this is a phrase that people use when they've been dating for a little while, and then one person asks the other, hey, do you want to be my girlfriend? Or, hey, can I call you my boyfriend? And if the person says yes, then they become boyfriend and girlfriend. So they become a couple, okay? They're not just dating anymore. And another way to say that is they became official. Maybe they were just dating, so they went on some dates, but if they say now we're a couple, that means they become official. That it's real now. They're not just going on a couple dates. Oh, it's official, meaning it's a real relationship now. So because we're looking for something to happen to create the relationship, I use these phrases, okay? A few of you use the phrase, they started dating yesterday. Started dating suggests they is usually not one day. Started dating is a time period when they maybe went on the first couple dates, okay? If you say Emily and Lucas started dating, you're talking about the period of time. So it's not about one day. And started dating would mean they maybe met one time, met another time, met a third time, but that doesn't mean they're in a relationship, okay? I also saw Emily and Lucas got together yesterday. Got together means that they met, meaning like maybe they went on a date. So that one is a little bit, it sounds like you're talking about one thing that happened. They got together yesterday, meaning they went on one date, okay? So it's better to talk about they change from dating to being boyfriend and girlfriend. Emily and Lucas became boyfriend and girlfriend yesterday, okay? Or you could say Emily and Lucas became official, meaning their relationship is officially started, okay? So it's a little bit tricky, but interesting to learn about, okay? So Lucas asked her to change her Facebook status to in a relationship, okay? I use the word asked. You could also say wants her to. So asked her to change or wants her to change, okay? And then you could say her Facebook status. But Facebook status could be just when you type a message saying what you're doing. If you type a message into Facebook and say, oh, I'm eating pizza, that could be your Facebook status. So if you want to be more specific, you can say her relationship status on Facebook, okay? So both of those are okay. One is more specific than the other, okay? And then change her status to in a relationship. We talked about the different statuses they have on Facebook and on other things too, okay? And so, yeah, the big thing was the idea of when they get together or when they become a couple. And if it's yesterday, something big had to happen, meaning they became boyfriend or girlfriend and they became official. They started dating a while ago, right? You date for a while before you become official. Okay. Second sentence is, 我不知道他应不应该要听他的. Right. Yeah, that's maybe a little bit pushy. Should he rush her into it? Like, she can do it on her own. He doesn't have to tell her what to do. So you can say, I don't know if she should listen to him. So there were not really any big issues for this. I don't know if she should listen to him. So should followed by listen. I don't know if she should listen to him. The should here means I don't know if it's a good idea to listen to him. Okay? And we're talking about her, so we should use she. I did see a couple of people use something like you. I don't know if you should listen to her, but we're talking about Emily. So I don't know if she should listen to him. Okay? I did see the phrase, I don't know if she should follow his words. But we don't really use follow in this way. We don't say follow his words to mean do what he said. You could say follow someone's instructions, follow someone's directions, something like that. If someone gives you steps to follow, you can say that. But if it's just words, you wouldn't say follow. Okay? So I don't know if she should listen to him or do as he says, something like that. Okay? And I did see also, I don't know if she should try to listen. Now, we don't need the word try because try means maybe she's not sure she can listen. And we know she can listen. She's not trying to listen. What? Did you say something? Okay, so you don't need the word try there. Okay, I have a question. Emily and Lucas just started together yesterday. Is that okay? Well, together is not a verb. You can't start together. You could say Emily and Lucas just started to be together. You could say that. So together, yeah, they started to be together yesterday. That would be okay, meaning that now they are together. Together can mean they're in a relationship. So before they were just dating, but now they are together. So that would be okay. So describing two people and say they are together means they're official. That's okay, sure. But we need the word be in there. They started with an ed to be together yesterday. That's okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Next is 我不能忍受和这么强势的人交往. So you see Emily and Lucas together and you go, whoa, 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 not for me. You say, I couldn't stand dating someone so intense. Or you could say, I couldn't stand dating someone so bossy or someone so pushy. Okay? So we've learned about can't and couldn't, right? And so I can't stand just means it's true. I really don't like it. But I'm imagining being with someone like this guy. So we want to use couldn't. Couldn't is used when you're imagining something. It's not real. You're just thinking about if it was real. You'd say, oh, I couldn't stand dating someone so intense. So if I was dating them, I couldn't stand it. Okay? So couldn't is better here because we're imagining if it was true. Okay? I couldn't stand dating someone so intense. The verb dating, we'd say dating someone. I saw a lot of you use the word with, dating with someone. Now, I think we've talked about this before. You don't date with someone, you date someone. So there's no with involved. So date someone. I couldn't stand dating someone. We don't need the word with. And then the last part is the word 强势. I think the best word here and the most common that people use now is the word intense. Someone who is intense has strong feelings, strong emotions, strong opinions. Someone is very intense. Maybe they're intense could mean a lot of different things. And because it can mean many different things, the word intense is really, really common now. Someone who is like very extreme about lots of things. So yeah, you could describe this guy as being intense. Wow, I couldn't stand someone so intense. Okay? Now, if you use a different word, it's similar, but it changes the meaning a little bit. So I couldn't stand dating someone so bossy. What does it mean to be bossy? Well, the word boss means your boss at work. Imagine someone who acts like they are your boss. So they tell you what to do. They pretend they're your boss. So they are so bossy, okay? Now, you could also use the word pushy. What does it pushy mean? Well, this person will push you. Hey, do this, do that, do this, do that. They push you, so you think they are pushy, okay? So intense means they're crazy about everything. Bossy, they act like your boss. Pushy, they push you around, okay? These three are the best, I think. I saw someone use the word strong. You don't want to use strong here. Strong sounds like a good thing about either muscles or they are like, they have a strong personality, meaning like they don't get hurt easily. Strong is usually a good thing, so it doesn't work here. You could use the word aggressive. I couldn't stand dating someone so aggressive. But aggressive sounds like they might hurt you, like they're coming at you really strongly. If it's telling you what to do, intense, bossy, or pushy are a little bit better. Aggressive means they want you to do stuff. Actually, that it works here, but I think the other words are a little bit better. And then I also saw people say a strong personality. And that is, again, strong usually is a good thing. So saying someone with a strong personality, it's okay here, but usually strong is positive. So you could say aggressive, but strong sounds a little too good. So I think intense, bossy, or pushy would be best here. He's like, all the time. Do this, do that. Okay? So here, that's where we get to the end with our homework. If you have any more questions, leave it in the chat. I'll try to catch you before we run out of time. So here we saw our dialogue where, you're bargaining. Wait, maybe I can change myself. I can get them back. And your friend says, no, don't do that. Find someone new. And you say, oh gosh, I can't do that. The computer thinks I'm a bot. I'm too boring. They think I'm a bot. They don't believe I'm a real person. Oh my gosh. And then you start to feel sad. Oh, I give up. I'll never find anyone. And your friend says, no, it's okay. There are plenty of fish in the sea. That might be something we learn next time, actually, when we realize it's going to be okay, right? After you get really sad, then you start to realize, hey, I have to just accept it. I can't change the past. It's not worth it to feel regret. It's better to move on, accept what happened to me, and things will get better. So, next time in Lesson 7, Conversation 4, we're going to look at our light, fun, energetic, silly personality, where we deal with the 5th stage of grief, which is when everything starts to get better. Acceptance. I can't change it. Everything will be okay. And so, if you get dumped, what's the 5th stage of grief? Well, time to move on. Find someone new. Either I'll be okay by myself, or maybe I can find someone different. I'll be okay without that person. So the 5 stages of grief are difficult, but at the end, everything will be okay. So next time, we're going to take a look at Conversation 4 and see what our character does. See what you do when you start to look for someone new. Do you do something silly? Do something ridiculous? Okay. And so, if you have any questions, please let me know. leave it in the chat and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I'll stick around for a little bit longer. If you are free tonight, send a message to Kyle Moai. We can chat for a couple minutes. And if no one texts me, maybe I'll send you a message. So let's wrap up here and say goodnight. And I will see you guys next week. Okay? Have a good night and see you at Dialogue 4. And happy weekend. Do something fun, okay?